now is a better time for me emotionally and physically. And a big reason is because of taking the proper probiotic, for sure.
Kick it off and start at the beginning and what kind of health struggles that you were facing that prompted you to seek for and look for solutions.
Started about a year ago, a little over a year ago. I went to the doctor originally for ingrown hairs, and I was given a prescription of clindamycin, and I was instructed to use on the bikini line area. And that was like against my better judgment, just because as women, like we already know, we're so sensitive to any little thing, especially something so strong as like antibiotics topically and stuff like that. And that was honestly where all my issues began. I started having symptoms of UTIs and yeast infection, BV, going to the doctor multiple times and no answers, no resolution. And what I think happened is using the clindamycin that I was given kind of like wiped out everything and just allowed a lot of like bad bacteria to overgrow, and it turned into ureaplasma. And it was just like this whole rabbit hole that I went down for months, having symptoms of all of that, a lot of itching and discomfort, taking more antibiotics to treat things that I don't know what I'm treating, and then finding out that it's something that now I know about, but I'd never heard of ureaplasma before. And I found out because of going on Reddit and reading and hearing other people's experiences with similar events. I think a lot of times there's like a triggering event, like you take a medication or something and it just gives you more problems, you know, snowball effects. And that's basically what happened with me. So after about 7 rounds of antibiotics and trying so many different like store-bought probiotics to like keep from having the same issues again, I finally bit the bullet and got Happy V, just because I kept seeing it like everywhere, like throughout all the hours of research and everything. Like this was a product that was so highly like well rated and very I would say like the marketing is very good. I like the product a lot because once I started using it, even though I had already done so many antibiotics, I was already like on my 7th round of taking oral antibiotics plus like using clindamycin cream and the Metro gel and just like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It wasn't until finally that I started taking that towards the end of all the antibiotics that I would get like relief from my symptoms after like months and months and months, almost like a whole year of just continuous itching, discomfort, frequent urination, stuff like that. And I figure because it's been so much treatment, it's going to take a while for things to get fully recovered. But taking Happy V, that's when I started noticing I'm getting days here and there now where it's no symptoms at all and like I'm feeling good. And I did a microbiome test with Evie, and the only like good bacteria I had at that point, which was about 2 months ago, was crispatus, and that was definitely in Happy V. That's good news. And I feel like over the past 2 months, things are definitely becoming better more frequently. So I'm really happy, and I would like to continue taking the product because I think that with more time, it can help me achieve balance again. I think I just really need to get back into balance, like with my good gut bacteria and just like good bacteria all around, you know. And there's just so many people who are struggling with that. So I really want to, I always said that, like, you know, going through all of this, like, it's honestly, there's a level of trauma that comes with it because it affects you in so many different ways. And if I can share my experience with anybody and, you know, hopefully help find a solution, I really like that you guys seem to be a part of helping push the message of like, we need more research on women's health and we need to talk about it more and we need to understand it better and, you know, making it accessible, because I really don't feel like, you know, things are expensive, but I don't mind paying the $35 a month. It's worth it to me if it means that it's going to help me. And I think most people can afford that, you know, and there's way more expensive products out there that probably don't work as well or as quickly. You know, I was taking Garden of Life probiotics for women's health, and it did help keep things somewhat manageable, but it wasn't like I was getting like a full day of relief, you know. But literally like maybe 2 or 3 weeks into it, I was like, wow, I just had 2 or 3 days and I felt normal again. And that's a great feeling. And you just appreciate the small things once you go through an experience like that. So, I mean, I'm really happy that I finally found something that can give me some type of relief, because you don't even want to know how much money I've spent on products and probiotics and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story and just, everything that you went through and the highs and the lows. If we could go back just a little bit, I mean, you just went in for something that seems so simple that kind of like a snowball effect or domino effect that brought up all these other issues. Walk me through kind of your journey during that time and maybe never having those symptoms before, UTIs, yeast infections. What was that like? And was your doctor like helpful at all, or kind of walk me through the side effects of, even taking the gel to begin with?
I went to a primary care, and this was so I work in the beauty industry, and my main focus career-wise is Brazilian waxing. So I'm an esthetician. I specialize in skincare, and I understand ingrowns and stuff like that. So for me to go to the doctor, it says a lot, because I typically am able to treat that, and I help other women treat that all the time. I understand women's health very well because of my profession. So I went to the doctor, and she told me it was from waxing, and, to use the clindamycin right away. Like, my instincts just said, that's not a good idea. I don't trust that. But then I'm looking at this woman who's been a doctor for, 30 plus years, and she's a doctor. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it. And the first couple times I would put it on, they would just be these very sensitive, ingrown, cystic type of abscess on the bikini line only. And I'm like, okay, but that's just so close to very other sensitive areas. And so I was very careful. I tried to completely let the topical antibiotic dry all the way, and I'm not getting too close to certain areas. And the first couple of times I did it was okay. But then by the third or fourth time of using it, even though it was treating the problem that I had, I was getting yeast infections, which I'm not usually somebody who's prone to any women's health issues in that way at all. I've only had a yeast infection maybe once or twice my whole life. And so it kept happening multiple times. And then I'm thinking, okay, it's definitely this clindamycin. So I tossed it out. So the yeast infection stopped once I stopped using that. However, now I feel a few months are going by, and now I'm feeling UTI symptoms. So I'm going to another doctor. I'm going to a women's health clinic instead, just because it's hard for me to get into a gynecologist with my insurance and stuff. So I went to the clinic, and they tested me for everything. They were like, no, you're fine. You don't have a bladder infection. Nothing's wrong with you, even though I felt definitely something was up. And so I go back there maybe 2 or 3 times, and finally they tested me for BV. And they were like, okay, well, we think this is what's causing your symptoms. So you can treat it or you can leave it alone. And I said, I want to treat it because at this point, I'm just feeling the UTI symptoms. Plus, I'm having a lot of itching, external itching, and it's extremely uncomfortable. It's disrupting my life. So I treat it, and that's when the whole antibiotic thing happened. I'm treating BV so many times. I treated it 4 or 5 times.
And so they said it was BV.
They said it was BV. I went to my primary care too at this point after. And I said, hey, I was tested positive for BV. I'm still having symptoms. I've done so much treatment. So they're giving me more antibiotics, and it totaled out to about 5 rounds just treating BV.
Wow.
And I'm using boric acid at this point. I'm, trying probiotics. This is where I'm researching everything. And I don't think it's ureaplasma yet, because I still didn't really know much about that. And it was one of those things that you don't hear about, so you think it doesn't happen to you.
Right.
So because I kept pushing doctors and going to different doctors and not giving up, I found an answer. I found out what was wrong, and then I could properly treat. which required, three more rounds of antibiotics. So it was a lot. But however, I did finally get rid of the ureaplasma. So
how did they differentiate between BV and the uroplasma, and
mhm.
how did they like treat that differently?
So the BV was easily detected. So I got tested originally at a clinic. They didn't tell me exactly what bacteria. They just said BV, and I didn't ask. And it was just a swab that I went in and I did. They didn't do a urine sample or anything. And then after treating that and it's still having problems, I went to my regular doctor, my primary care, the one who originally gave me the issues in the first place. They did a different type of swab where it was more in depth to show specific bacteria. And then it came out to be high levels of a bacteria called Megacephera type 1, I believe. So I treated that with boric acid and oral flagyl, like for 7 days or something. And I still had symptoms, but I went back for testing and they're like, no, you have no more BV. That's when I was like, okay, went back to the drawing board and I tried to do a process of elimination on like detergent, soap, even air fresheners, body products, all kinds of stuff, medications I may have been taking at the time. This took a few months of crossing everything off, and I crossed everything off, and I'm still having my main symptom at this point is, a lot of UTI symptoms and a lot of itching. So this is why I'm pushing so much for answers, because I'm like, something's not right. Somebody has to figure it out.
Yeah, all these different symptoms of yeast infection, UTI, BV, all at the same time. Yeah.
It was intense, and it was definitely something that has me paranoid. Like I even bought all new underwear. I asked for I've been wearing looser clothing and just trying to be as cautious as possible, doing natural remedies like taking sitz bath and like using no soap or fragrance-free soap, pH balanced, just so many different things that so many women go through and nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
So I think just now where I'm at now is just doing probiotics and trying to eat healthy and exercise is what's working best for me. And I'm happy I found a good probiotic, and I'll definitely keep using it for sure, for the long term. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you hear about Happy V? I know you said you did a lot of research. I know you mentioned Reddit, but maybe just, walk me through what it was like hearing about Happy V for the first time and checking us out.
I can't remember like a specific first time hearing about it or learning about it, but just because I was spending so much time researching symptoms and treatments and, reading other people's stories, that was just something that popped up a lot. Like, I don't think there's another product that came up as frequently as Happy V did. And it was just always so highly rated. And I was like, I don't know why so hesitant. I was like, I don't need to spend that money on it's ironic because now I'm like happy to take it, take my money. But in the beginning I was like, you know what? All probiotics are made the same, which is not the case. Absolutely not the case. And I was under the impression that if you have higher CFU, then better results, and that's also not the case. And so just also researching like good probiotics and what makes a good probiotic, I've learned that it's really not about having 90 billion CFUs, and it doesn't have to be a refrigerated probiotic either, because I tried those too. So it just was something that's like online a lot, I guess. Like for me, like I was seeing it on Google, on Amazon, on Reddit, TikTok. So it was like in my face.
Well, kudos to you for taking charge of your health. And even when you said you went to different doctors and you just really advocated for yourself and for putting the time in and doing the research, it sounds like you are a probiotic expert. Exactly what you said, that I don't know where we're taught this, but we think that it needs to have the highest CFU count, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't true, and that it's really just about what strains and dosages are actually in. So I love that you are like, nope, I know what to look for and what to do, and what I want to try with all that too. So yes, you take the Happy V pre and probiotic, and how long have you been taking it?
Started in March, so I think it's about 3 months now.
Once, yeah. And what has your experience been?
So far, so good. Like, I feel because of how much antibiotics I've done, like it's really wreaked havoc in a short amount of time. So I think it's gonna take, probably some more time to get the best results. So I'm definitely being patient. But so far, I think that it's helped more than any other probiotic I've taken.
That's awesome. Wow.
And I've taken at least like 3 or 4 different, and I like to give it time. I like to give it, a couple months to really see the results. And I feel like I've gotten the best results with Happy V.
That's awesome. How, or what are things that, I know you said it like affect your life and your lifestyle that you weren't able to do that you are now in your everyday life? Anything.
Like I definitely did not want to go out and be active. I like to go on hikes and go on walks and stuff, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be social with anybody. I didn't want to hang out with anyone. Literally just going to work because I have to, and then coming home. And when you're doing so many different treatments and stuff, it kind of affects your mental health as well. So there was definitely a level of depression that I experienced. Not really anymore because I'm feeling a lot better, but when things were at its worst, I was, very sad and emotional, and it just kind of hits your confidence too, because you want to be with your partner and stuff like that. And I take my health seriously, like you just said. So I was definitely being distant and trying to be cautious, and just it was kind of like a 180, because I'm typically a happy-go-lucky type of person, and I like to talk to people, and I want to be around friends and stuff. And for a long time, I wasn't doing that. I was just really sad and feeling like really in the dark, because I'm dealing with something that not a lot of people have heard about. Like, many people have never heard of a ureaplasma infection or a mycoplasma infection. And so many women are dealing with it, and they're mistreating it because they think they have BV and a yeast infection, just like how I went through. So I think that now is definitely a better time for me, like emotionally and physically. And a big reason is because of taking the proper probiotic, for sure, and prebiotic too. It has both.
Yeah. How do you incorporate Happy V into your everyday life? Like, how do you, or like, what's your wellness routine? How do you remember to take it, or other things that you're doing too that, have helped you?
I keep it right next to my bed, and I take it every morning. And right now, all I'm doing is taking Happy V and vitamin D. I'm trying to keep it simple. I don't want to do too much. I'm just trying to get back into doing the things I like to do. I like to go to the gym, and I didn't do that for a long time. I was thinking, if I'm too physical, that's going to cause symptoms to flare up. So I feel really good that I'm able to now go out and do stuff like that, and I'm not going to feel uncomfortable while I'm doing it. So I think less is more. I'm just trying to do the vitamin D and the Happy V, drinking water. I would recommend it. Like, like what I do for a living, I'm talking to women all day long about their health, and if it ever comes up that women are having, any pH issues or discomfort or anything, I would always tell them to try taking Happy V. And if anyone had reservations, they're like, oh, it's $35. I don't want to pay that. I'd tell them that it's worth paying that much more than it is having to go to the doctor and getting the wrong stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like it would treat having a ureaplasma infection, but I think it can definitely help for sure.
Yeah, always check in with your doctor. They say,
Absolutely.
Does your doctor recommend going on a probiotic?
To be honest with you, the only doctor that recommended a probiotic was my primary care, and it is in Happy V. I'm having a hard time pronouncing it. It's like acetophilus, I believe. She recommended I take that, but she didn't recommend taking like a probiotic with other strains and stuff like that. She said to just take that one. I was like, well, I'm already doing that, so thank you very much.
You did your research of, I know these other things will help
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I can just hear in your voice and in your story just the confidence and just self-esteem that I feel like you're getting back and
Hmm.
that you're able to do the normal stuff that, you know, sometimes we take for granted when we don't know what we're about to walk through or walking through. So
Hmm.
thank you so much, Kristina, for sharing your story today. And
Thank you.
yeah, like you said, it's gonna bring hope to other women, and I love your heart for others and sharing at your practice and your day-to-day too as well when you are working with other women and can maybe speak some hope and give other people a solution for what
Hmm.
they're going through. So thank you so much for sharing. One last question I want to
Hmm.
ask you is if you could go back in time even 4 months ago or when you first started to kind of walk through these symptoms and give yourself some advice or other people out there who are walking through this, what would you say?
I would say to just trust your instincts and don't give up. Like if you're feeling one thing and your doctors are saying another, always get another opinion. Don't let anyone tell you what you're not like. Push for yourself, like advocate for yourself. Don't give up and know that there are solutions out there. You just got to find the right person who's willing to help you. Fortunately and unfortunately, I had to be the person to help myself. I had to be the one to do the work and the time and research and everything. But sometimes there's really good doctors out there who can catch this type of stuff a lot sooner, and I would have appreciated to find one. However, I'm just happy to be here and share this experience because I've learned so many women are dealing with this, and in hindsight, I'm a little grateful because this has opened my eyes in so many different ways. And I say everything happens for a reason. And I'm happy to share this experience because I know how it feels to have your self esteem affected and to feel, down on yourself and, have your regular life taken away from you. And now you're just, dealing with womanhood and dealing with society and stuff. There's good out there. You just got to look for it.